Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. Hangen Bank says it's laying off 1% of the manpower of its core operations. George Leung, a senior advisor at Hangen Bank, said the actual layoff numbers could be changed on a daily basis. This came as the local lender has been cutting staff across departments since March. Mimo Singhai reports.
Hangen Bank on Thursday issued a statement saying the company needs to make suitable business adjustments to increase its operational efficiency. The statement says the bank will create new job positions in the face of rapid changing market environment. The bank also says the number of affected employees will be roughly 1%, without mentioning the exact figure. Hangen Bank senior advisor George Leung said some work in the company have been replaced by technology, but not all employees have the required new skills. Leung said the layoff involves multiple departments, affecting staff from all positions. Meanwhile, Hangen Bank says supportive measures will be provided to impact the staff who have been using the bank's staff mortgage arrangements. Mums 9, TVB News.
The Hong Kong Tourism Board said 3.8 million tourists came to Hong Kong in April, with the number of tourists from new markets recording the sharpest rise. Incoming tourists last month rose 13% with the same period last year. Almost 70% of those are from the mainland. There were over 1 million non-mainland tourists, of which the number of short-haul visitors rose 10%, while long-haul visitors went up 17%. The number of tourists from new markets rose more than 30%. In the first 4 months of the year, 16 million tourists came to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is set to host 8 events of the 15th National Games for the first time this November. The government is planning to use the Sun Yat-sen Memorial Park Sports Center as the event's media center. The facility will close temporarily from next month. To prepare for the upcoming games, the sports center will close its sports arena and car parks. Its swimming pool and waterfront promenade will remain open. Sports events due to take place in Hong Kong include basketball and beach volleyball. Beijing's Ministry of Commerce announced a 90-day pause on some non-tariff measures against the U.S. by lifting sanctions on 45 American entities. It's reported that electric car maker Tesla is planning to resume taking deliveries of car parts from China to the U.S. after a previous suspension. Danny Zhou reports.
With the thawing of Sino-US trade relations, a spokesperson for the Commerce Ministry in Beijing said China will pause measures announced in April that added 17 US entities to its unreliable entity list. The ministry has also suspended export curbs on 28 US entities in announcements on April the 4th and 9th. The measures will be halted for 90 days, starting on Wednesday. To export dual-use items to these 28 entities, Chinese export operators will need to apply to the ministry for approval, according to authorities. In a sign of potential further progress to address trade friction, U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer held face-to-face talks with Chinese trade envoy Li Chenggang on the sidelines of the APEC gathering in South Korea. This comes after the two sides agreed on major cuts in bilateral tariffs during the recent talks in Geneva. A number of companies are now resuming or shifting their supply chain strategies during the 90-day trade truce. A Reuters report says Tesla is set to restart shipping components from China at the end of this month for the production of its upcoming Cybercab and semi-truck models. Meanwhile, factories saw a massive ramp-up of production in China. A manager of a knitting factory in Shanghai said their clients, who are mostly American, already ordered containers for shipment on Saturday and have been rushing workers to finish up on time. Yu Jianfen, chairwoman of a foreign trading enterprise in Shanghai, said that her company has hired managers hoping to get more orders from Europe. The Trump administration repeatedly backtracked on its tariff policies over the past few months, leading to growing grievances from American blue-collar workers. Sources say some of Donald Trump's top aides, including U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, told the president that his voters would face a crisis if the hefty tariffs did not come down. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Multiple airstrikes have hit Gaza's southern city of Khan Yunis, killing more than 50 people in a second consecutive night of heavy bombing. The dead included journalists working for Qatari television network Al Arabi TV. The network said he was killed along with 11 members of his family in one of the strikes in Khan Yunis. These strikes come after Israel twice hit the European hospital in southern Gaza. Nazvi Karim with more.
Pedestrians at the European hospital in southern Gaza, they begin to scatter. A fireball and a burning crater. Tuesday's attack was a second on a hospital in Gaza, leaving at least 6 dead and dozens wounded. The Israeli military said it struck what it called a Hamas command and control center beneath the hospital. The strikes come amid a total blockade of humanitarian aid lasting more than 2 months. United Nations Undersecretary for Humanitarian Affairs Tom Fletcher accused Israel of using starvation as a weapon.
Israel is deliberately and unashamedly imposing inhumane conditions on civilians in the occupied Palestinian territory. For more than 10 weeks, nothing has entered Gaza, no food, medicine, water, or tents. The few hospitals that have somehow survived bombardment are overwhelmed. The medics who have somehow survived drone and sniper attacks cannot keep up with the trauma and the spread of disease. Even today, the European Gaza hospital in Khan Yunis was bombed again, with even more civilian casualties reported.
On Wednesday, at least 22 children were killed in Jabalia in the north in a series of Israeli strikes on homes. Relatives carrying their loved ones for treatment with the Indonesian hospital in the area, reporting up to 48 people in total being killed. Funeral prayers for the dead. The strikes came a day after Hamas released an Israeli-American hostage in a deal brokered by the United States. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he would not halt its war in Gaza, dimming hopes of a ceasefire. Close to 53,000 people have been killed since Israel started its retaliatory offensive over the October 7, 2023 raid on Israel by Hamas that resulted in deaths of around 1,200 people. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
French prosecutors are probing into armed assailants who attempted to abduct the family of a crypto businessman. It's reported that a masked gang tried to kidnap the daughter and grandson of a cryptocurrency platform owner in a brazen daytime attack. Video footage showed attackers wrestling with the daughter, her partner, and their child on a busy street in Paris's 11th district Tuesday morning. After failing to snatch them into a getaway van, the gang eventually gave up and drove off. All 3 victims sustained light injuries. In recent months, cryptocurrency figures and their relatives have faced a spate of kidnapping attempts across France and Europe. The French Interior Minister is set to meet with crypto professionals on Friday to address security concerns. Pope Leo XIV met the world's top-ranked tennis player Jannik Sinner at the Vatican and was gifted a tennis racket. The 3-time Grand Slam champion, along with his family and the president of the Italian Tennis Federation, visited the new pope during an off day at the Italian Open. Leo, who has long been an avid tennis player and fan, asked Sinner how the game was going. Sinner gave Leo a professional tennis racket and asked if he wanted to play. But the offer was turned down by the Pope, who jokingly said, "Better not." The two also posed for photos in front of the Davis Cup trophy that Sinner helped Italy win for the 2nd consecutive time in 2024. The Consumer Council tested 24 models of nonstick frying pans and found their performances varied greatly. And performance does not always relate to price. Mimo Singhai reports.
Non-stick frying pans are essential kitchen equipment in many households. The pans are often available to buy in 4 coating materials: PTFE, stone, ceramic, and honeycomb. The Consumer Council tested 24 models of non-stick frying pans costing from $90 to $1,750 in a heat conduction speed test where frying pans were heated continuously until the minimum temperature reached 190 degrees Celsius. The fastest pan took about 1.5 minutes, while the slowest pan needed nearly 16 minutes. In a non-stick performance test, the council abrased the pan surface 500 times before cooking pancakes without oil. 4 models did not meet the standard requirements. Pancakes could not be removed completely when using a spatula. One pan even had its coating peeled off during the cooking process. Blisters appeared on the surface of some PTFE-coated pans after they were used to cook acidic food, failing to meet the European standard.
We would suggest to stop using it because that is our observation, or the non-stick pan, the coating start to detach from the base material, so that it may pose potential health issues.
What should residents do to reduce impurities when using a new non-stick pan? The Consumer Council says you could wash it with warm water and detergent or soak it in hot water overnight. Memos 9, TVB News.
Chief Executive John Lee's recent Middle Eastern tour has signaled growing business and cultural ties between Hong Kong and the Persian Gulf nations. But some in Hong Kong's food industry hoping to break into the Middle Eastern market say they've encountered obstacles due to local policies. This as a number of local businesses expressed a desire for government financial support to attract more Middle Eastern brands to the city. Timothy Lee tells us more.
In line with the government's efforts to boost Islamic tourism in the city, a growing number of restaurants and those in the food industry have begun applying for halal certifications. Mr. Tang, who applied for the certificate in September last year, has been running a halal food business with a primarily ASEAN consumer base. He hopes to break into the Middle Eastern market. Zhang said his company is focused on Asian cuisine. He pointed out that despite Chinese cuisine's appeal around the world, Muslims are unable to enjoy much of Hong Kong's food given the lack of halal consideration. According to Islamic doctrine, alcohol and food containing pork are strictly forbidden. Zhang, who took a course on Islam last year, wanted to learn more about the religion's teachings and culture, having spent more than $1 million to update his company's production line to cater for his Muslim clients. But his attempts to access the Middle Eastern market remains one riddled with obstacles. Zhang recalled a number of Middle Eastern clients requesting him to present official food qualification documents, which required him to pay $10,000 for a certificate from the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department. In a bid to assist local businesses in acquiring halal certification, a food testing center under the Chinese Manufacturers Association of Hong Kong began testing for pork and alcohol in food products 2 years ago. But the center stressed its services will be more expensive if businesses require their assistance to set up shop in the Middle East. Meanwhile, the president of a local halal certification company said many Middle Eastern restaurants and businesses are interested in entering the mainland market via Hong Kong. He believes that an increase in the variety of foreign cuisines can also attract more mainland tourists to visit the city. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The hospital authority has rolled out a new round of overseas training sponsorship, fully subsidizing students to obtain a bachelor's degree in podiatry abroad. The scheme has a training quota for 3 to 4 students this year. Celine Chan spoke to one of the past graduates.
This podiatrist is conducting vascular assessment for the patient, checking the pulses in her foot so as to assess her blood vessel situation. Tracy is a local podiatrist who joined the hospital authority about 2 years ago. She graduated with an undergraduate degree in chemistry but decided to take up new challenges after speaking to her podiatrist friends. Her daily routine includes treatment for diabetic foot ulcer and athlete's foot.
I'm actually very satisfied with my job, although many people may think that my duty is quite dirty because we have to treat food, the hygiene problem. Actually, every clinical services, such as wound nurse, they also still have to deal with dirty wounds over food or blood loss. It's my duty and my responsibility. It's not something hideous, so I'm proud of my job and I'm not ashamed of it.
She found much pride and meaning from her daily work, especially when she managed to save patients from amputation. There's no recognized programs for training on food treatment provided by local tertiary institutions at the moment. Tracy joined the HA's Overseas Training Sponsorship Program and received a full subsidy of roughly $400,000 to $500,000 to pursue a bachelor's degree in podiatry. The scheme was launched in 2005. Currently, 51 out of the 54 podiatrists employed by the HA are graduates of the program, and they're required to serve in public hospitals for at least 5 years. This year's scheme has a training quota for 3 to 4 students.
Each year, we solicit the inputs and also the comments from the hospitals within the clusters to assess their own demand for podiatry service in the coming 3 to 5 years.
Poon added that the scheme's attrition rate is relatively low, but she believes the demand for podiatrists may increase as the local population ages. The hospital authority said apart from training up more podiatrists, it would also expand its overseas training sponsorship scheme depending on the city's evolving healthcare service demand. Celine Chan, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.